the Esquire edition here of 2012. But it's the May edition. It's June edition, and here's article for the May edition. This is the May edition. We'll get the June edition later. But it's the housing market returns now. It's portfolio by Ken Curson. It's been a while, but it's time to get out your wallet. It says here, my fact checkers at Esquire won't allow me to cite it as a source, but the single scariest article on Wikipedia is real estate bubble. The South Sea bubble, or the Dutch tulip bubble, or even the crashes in American equities in the 1920s and 80s were financially ruinous for many people. Says there, but I'd argue that the crash of the real estate markets worldwide from 2007 to 2010 was the most destructive form of wealth collapse ever. It says each previous collapse had its centered class investors who should have known better, while they all produced innocent victims. It's hard to feel too sorry for those at the core of the bubbles when he got into them, looking to get rich by speculation. But the housing bubble was something different altogether. Ordinary Americans were pressured, damn near forced, when you consider the tax advantages and the government awards homeowners into buying something they couldn't afford. And they weren't buying tulips or even shares of stocks, whose diminution in value heard only on paper. So millions of Americans lost most of the valuable possessions. After 4 years of debilitating fear of the market flooded with ownerless houses, the tide is finally beginning to turn. In fact, I believe the housing market, home building especially is about to surge. So the best part of it is that it's a free market in the driver's seat, not a stimulus tax, not a stimulus or tax incentive, social engineering, or over-leveraged banks, or Wall Street derivatives. It says in December, total home sales climbed 5% for the month and 3.6% above the level of previous years. Inventory of a single-family home declined more than 10% in the month and fell almost 20% compared with the previous year's numbers. The trend continued into this year. The existing home sales rose again in January and February, while inventory shrank compared with last year's. Says this marked the first sustained good news for the housing market since the mid 2000s, and even longer if you view the 3 years of the housing boom to be a fiction authored by securitization market in cahoots with the ratings agency. It says here, during the bubble, home ownership in America increased from eyebrow-raising 66% to just plain silly 69%. The idea that more than 2 of every 3 households should own their dwelling is unprecedented in human history. That's all with an idea, a nice one, but unsustainable as we witness dangerous. I believe the sweet spot for American home ownership is somewhere between 60% in parentheses when rates are high and 64% in parentheses when rates are low. It says here, by the end of 2011, the rate has fallen back to 66%. But more to the point, if the millions of borrowers who are delinquent on their homes are excluded from the rate, and they are really not owners, if what they own is worth less than what they owe, the rate was closer to 66%, 60%, not 66%. Credit Suisse says the prospective buyers are busier than they've been in 2005. This move is already underway. while the stocks and builders such as Toll Brothers, TOL in parentheses, and Lennar, LEN in parentheses, have risen modestly. It says Hovnanian, in parentheses, HOV, has nearly climbed almost 50%. Part of these gains aren't real. Speculators shorten the hell out of the companies when it looked as though the weaker ones could or easily disappear. It says here, so as they've started to climb, the short sellers are squeezing the buying. Nevertheless, the iShares Dow Jones U.S. Home Construction Index Fund (ITB) is up about 20% on the year as of mid-March. The Home Builders Spider and Exchange Fund traded fund tickered XHB is a bargain at 20. even as it nears a territory unseen in 2008. Since 2008, there has never been a time when major home builders who comprise these indices had so much going for them. Enormous pent-up demand, historically low mortgage rates, and ultra-cheap labor force from a decimated construction industry. I think XHB could reach 30 by the end of the year. I think anyone who can afford to buy a single-family home and clear a mortgage ought to do so and rent it to the giant pool of renters that has been created by underwater homes and lenders who won't lend. It says most of all, anyone who's struggling to pay a mortgage that's bigger than the house is worth to hang on. Help is on the way in the form of what should be allowed to help in the first place, market forces. That's from the Esquire edition, May edition of 2012. Put that down right there.